The era born as a modern slave. You might think that slavery is a thing of the past, but right now, nearly 50 million people are stuck in slavery around the world. It's a problem that affects every country on earth, including yours. In several ways, slavery may look different from the slavery of the intercontinental slave trade. But modern slavery as a term comprehends many forms of slavery, including human trafficking and people being born into slavery. There are hundreds of definitions of modern slavery. All of these include facets of control, involuntary actions, and exploitation. Please watch till the end if you want to know everything. Welcome to our channel. Today we will tell you about era born as a modern slave. Modern slavery is all around us, often hidden in plain sight. People can become enslaved making our clothes, serving our food, working in factories, working in houses as cooks, picking our crops, or cleaners or nannies. Sufferers of modern slavery might face violence or threats, be forced into inevitable debt, or have their passport taken away and face being threatened with deportation. Many people have fallen into this trap because they were trying to escape poverty or insecurity, improve their lives, and support their families. Now, they can't leave. People may end up trapped in slavery because they're vulnerable to being tricked, exploited, and trapped, and often as a result of poverty and prohibiting, and because laws do not properly protect them. People can be particularly vulnerable to modern slavery when external situations push them into taking risky decisions in search of opportunities to provide for their families, or when people find they are simply pushed into jobs in unfair conditions. Anyone could be pressed into forced labor, but people in vulnerable situations such as being in debt or not having access to their passport are most at risk. Crises like the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change can make people even more susceptible to exploitation. The 21st century, the century where we live in a digital ecosystem surrounded by technology all around. Looking at where we started and how far we've come and the things we've achieved is truly praiseworthy. All this happened due to the inquisitive mind of humans, which drives them to continually strive for more and more. We have created machinery which can destroy countries, metal behemoths which can take us to space, and whatnot, and recently AI, artificial intelligence, have caught everyone's attention for both good and for bad reasons. If you are enjoying this video, subscribe and click on the bell notification so you do not miss out on any opportunities. Modern slavery can take many forms, including the trafficking of people, servitude, forced labor, and slavery. Children under 18 are considered victims of trafficking, whether or not they have been coerced, deceived, or paid to secure their compliance. There is another form of modern slavery, which is being a slave of schooling. Slavery and enslavement are both the state, and the condition of being a slave, someone forbidden to quit one's service for an enslaver, and who is treated by the enslaver as property. We are a slave of our schools, and they are our masters, and we must follow the orders they give us in order to survive in the modernized world. Education versus schooling. Schooling and education are two different things. Education is about exploration and learning how to think. Schooling is about training and teaching children what to think. Quote by John D. Rockefeller, philanthropist and one of the masterminds behind compulsory schooling, "I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers," meaning that this nation requires workers. In other words, slaves who will serve for the country, but doing something that we love or doing something based on the education we should be taught, but will also make our country a better place to live. Our brains are trained to do certain tasks given by our schools, and we can't help but do what we are told by our minds. In short, we are a slave of our minds, and it commands our body on what to do, and our minds are manipulated by schools. In 1902, the General Education Board was a non-governmental organization designed to support higher education and was sponsored mainly by John D. Rockefeller. Throughout his lifetime, he donated approximately $180 million. The modern style of education doesn't teach us to be a leader or how to develop our skills, and following this, we might be able to live a financially stable life, but we won't be happy with what we're doing. It just teaches us to grow up, get employed by a good company, and live a mediocre life. This generation has completely changed the meaning of schooling. Students at school these days aren't taught what they should be. The students work as a modern slave of this modern-style schooling. Education teaches us how to think and do things independently and to polish our skill of creativity. But schooling is the other way around. It teaches us what to do and think. It sets our mind to do and think something particular. Schooling is particularly a formal form of education. It follows, therefore, that schooling is always formal. It is instruction, training, ideas, and knowledge being learned in a documented, systematic setting. On the other hand, education can be informal, and it teaches us to think on our own. Almost every child is forced to go to school. Schools then act like the children are their belongings, and thus the children are forced to do as they say. Education is not supposed to be this way. Just because it has benefits in the future doesn't mean it's perfect. This also leads to no freedom. Come to class. Don't be late. 5 minutes to socialize and deal with your business between classes. No fighting. Know this and know that. No talking when the teacher is talking in class. You have to stay in an area during the day. It drives you mad following the same routine day by day, much like a prison. Did I forget to mention how similar it looks? Crimes. In both schools and prisons, there's lots of people who break the rules. That's because they mix in the virtuous students with the debauched ones. It's common to see fights and people get jumped in school. Some get hit with unpremeditated weapons. Some people around the schools were killed in gang-related events or beefs. Yes, there are gangsters in school. Some sell and do drugs or other illegal stuff. Group of kids smoking weed out in the open. If you don't buddy up, you're likely to be a target for bullies. Security guards and police are constantly traversing the areas. Sounds like a prison, doesn't? Enslavement. Schools basically enslave you to homogeneous education. It's bad in the long run because you're not learning how to be a productive citizen. Most subjects are useless when it comes to finding employment, cooking, finances, relationships, etc. Corruption. Many school bureaucrats are very unfair and harsh to the students. There's a lot of racism and manipulation in the system. Class potentials are high, and if you don't meet them, you could get punished. Teachers can verbally degrade and abuse students without consequence. If you get parents or higher-ups to confront them, they'll just lie by saying they were trying to help you succeed. When people of color become the majority, the school's funds are cut, whereas the whites live in rich schools. Whites are often encouraged to take AP classes compared to minorities. People of color are more likely to be punished for breaking rules and expelled than whites, just like prisons. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Share your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe.